Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I'm very excited because today we're going to be talking about Seer, and we're going to go through all of his abilities really in depth in game, and then we're going to go into a lobby and showcase some of his abilities in real time and what they look like. So let's go over his abilities. So the first one is his passive ability. Whenever you zoom in, we see Loba's right in front of us. You can do this even toggling without utilizing a gun, and you can hear that heartbeat in the background there. As you move closer, you see the indicator will move and kind of disappear there. So it's very, very helpful. And you can do that even without having a gun in your hand. Now, when you have a weapon in your hand, you can see the heartbeat sensor there as well. So it's very noticeable. I had to kick up the volume just so you can hear it because it can be a little subtle. You had to turn up the volume so you can hear it. And the same thing happens whenever you use any sort of scope. So I want you to see it as well with the scope. Notice how whenever you're zoomed in with a different zoom, how different this actually is compared to just using the wingman, how much closer. You have to be outside of a certain radius for the heartbeat sensor to appear. Once they're pretty much on your screen, notice how it's not even there of what you see. So that's really the heartbeat sensor in a nutshell. Now, tips and advice I can give for this is you see, and you'll notice the little veil around. You see the little blue indicator over there on the far end. That's pretty much where it pulls. So when we look at that distance and we go over to the right here, that seems about 70 meters. 70-meter cone all around that you have. So remember when you're looking at this information to kind of take it with a grain of salt when you're looking around. Because remember, you may be ADS and say, oh, we're all clear. Remember the bubble around. I know the bubble is not necessarily as easy to see. So if they're on height, this can also be kind of working against you. And that's not necessarily the thing that you want. So let's talk about next his other ability, which is his tactical. So I'm turned on the volume now that you've heard the heartbeat sensor already. So when you use this tactical ability, it goes into a conal front. So you have between the left and the right here, which is about, if I'm standing here, you'll look at the distance. Let me ping that again. And we look over, it's about an 8-meter distance, left and right, give or take 8 to 10 meters. So if I go back into Seer and we click in and we use the ability again, you see that cone in front. Look at that 8-meter distance from left to right. I would say that's about maybe 10 to 12, give or take. But you notice now it spots out enemies and you can see them through walls. The duration is pretty lengthy. It's about, if you utilize Bloodhound as a reference point, if I do my scan here, Bloodhound scan, well, they scan out and it lasts for about that long. Let's do the comparison. Let's use his tactical ability right out. And it lasts just a tad longer. So Seer definitely has a longer spawning point there, but you have to remember the distance. So when everyone asks a question, is Bloodhound more powerful than Seer? Well, it depends on the cone. So you notice this conal effect can get all these individual teams out, each angle. And this is only in front, which does about 10 damage, but at least you can see the indicators. So if we do the same thing at this angle over here, and we take a quick look at this, and I use Bloodhound to do a scan out, I scan, I should be able to get all three, and there's all three, but I can also get targets here, left and right, so they are quite effective on showcasing a full building. Now this is more of the cone right in front, and just remember now with the tactical ability that it does stop and interrupt actions. So I'm going to highlight that in just a second. I have Sarah who's been helping me, being very, very patient. If you don't mind, Sarah, can you grab yourself a heal so we can demonstrate this and just use a cell. So before you pop your heal, so go ahead and cell up. See the indicator there? You can stop it, but remember how long it takes until it happens. And look how immediately she can still sell as Loba. Even Bloodhound, then they can sell any legend. So remember, this is really important to see how effective Seer is, because the amount of ramp up time that it takes whenever you're using your ability, you have that moment, and even with the cell, you could almost mistime it. So now where this really gets paired with synergy with other legends, in game we're also going to showcase the example and what it looks like to hit the recon beacon as well. So when I hit the charge rifle tower here, we pop the ultimate, these really get paired very well together. So if you pop the ultimate out, and I'm going to have her showcase the footsteps, so you throw it on the ground, and once she moves, there you go. And it says 3 enemies detected, so it has that very big cone, just like Bloodhound. They have a big conal effect, but this is all around. So we look at the radius, and we're here all the way to the angle. I'm going to ping this here. If it doesn't hit the bot, and I look to the right, it's about a 65 to 70 meter radius all around, kind of a big giant pizza pie, if you will, and you move left and right, and this whole time now, unless they stand still and they walk. So if you can walk for us for a second. Oh, we lost it. But if you walk, then that changes everything. So you got to kind of pair that together, because remember, when you see those footsteps, you use your tactical ability and it pushes it out. It's very, very important to highlight. So we run through this again. High level heartbeat sensor within 75 when aiming down sights. So even though we saw the conal effect and I zoom in, I was saying it's about 70. It's about 70, 75, and yeah, it's 75. And then we read this again just to highlight. Summon micro drones to emit a blast that goes through walls, revealing enemies. So this has quite a bit of radius. Remember that radius can be misleading. So just be sure this is like a skill shot cannon, if you will, and it's very, very important to really highlight. And his ultimate ability really helps when paired with his tactical. So be sure you throw the ultimate ability before you throw the tactical. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up some scenarios in game of what this would look like, utilizing Seer and maximizing on his potential. Now I just wanted to show an in-game example whenever you hit the radius for Seer's ability here. So moving around, and Loba is pretty far advanced here, and it does take a moment for there's a little indicator. You see that little blue indicator? It's very, very small. Now when you move closer, you'll definitely get more of the heartbeat, but it takes a second until you see it. There we go. You see the little heartbeat there? But it takes a moment, especially whenever you're really far out of range. So it's really important to really highlight, especially whenever you hit that maximum distance. I mean, you get a little bit of intel, but even then, you really have to pay attention to the cursor in the center of the screen to really maximize on his potential. So just kind of seeing in game what this looks like to really help you guys all out, so then the testing is already done for you. Utilizing cover as Seer is very important. So if I ADS down sight, you see where I can find where my enemy is located, and now I'm going to use my tactical. And I did miss still, so that's interesting, as you can tell. So this is what I mean in terms of maximizing his potential, where it's going to take a lot of time. I believe that Seer is going to be a high caliber legend. So I'm going to do, as we keep doing little tips and utilizing this, I'm going to keep giving you guys tips and advice as we keep playing and working through this. So I'm going to try this again from a different angle. And it's why I believe this legend is such a high skill legend, and there's a lot of potential whenever it's maximized correctly. So same thing again, whenever I just saw her Loba ult go out, and I'm going to use my tactical. And I did manage to land that time. So a lot of information from enemy legends is going to be very, very important, but remember the ramp up time and how long they see this when utilizing it. Now will we tackle this again when you really want to pair it with your ultimate, because aiming down sights is not necessarily going to be the easiest thing, and nailing down, you see where it actually turns yellow once they're in that cone. You can throw down your ultimate, and once you do, you now see them, and you pop your tactical, and realize how easy it is to miss it still, and gives them a lot of ramp up time to really move around, even though we see through the indicator where they're located, and see how they're still running. And if I have the rampage, then boom, you know, you can land your shot. So very helpful tip there to really get you engaged in utilizing Seer's maximum potential and ability. So what we're going to do again, I'm going to highlight whenever what it looks like when you hit a recon beacon from Seer's point of view, and again when utilizing his abilities. So now here's one take that we're going to utilize. I'm going to have the tactical ability right in front of me and give it the max amount of time of potential for locking them into the ability. Once I pop it, Sarah's going to assist by trying to get out. So I'm going to use my tactical. Even then, definitely can still get out. It gives a lot of time, so you really have to get caught out. Now, if you're moving around, tap strafing, and using different abilities, this can definitely help. So realize whenever they're running away that this is a skill shot cannon to really maximize on it, which you have to really lead because of the ramp up that we're mentioning before. We're going to do the same thing, and I'll try to chase and target track and see if we can land this. So I have 2 seconds left on the ability. So as Loba's moving around, you can definitely try to move around and track just a little bit beforehand, but once it locks in, it's pretty much stuck and locked in, which is probably the hardest part. Where you really maximize on this potential, again, is if you see a legend that is trying to revive and trying to get out. This is where Bloodhound really is almost essential to Seer as well. If you run Bloodhound, they can scan, and when they scan, they give you the ability to really find out where the enemy is, and it's why it's so important when you throw it with your ultimate ability And if somebody's tap strafing away using a lot of mobility and trying to move around, you have to lead a little bit, and then you can land the shot and get them caught out. So you really have to utilize the element of surprise and play a little bit more patiently than you think you would need to. So I'm really excited to see where Seer, hopefully this really gives you some of the insight to really maximize and benefit on what Seer can do for everyone. Now in this portion, I just want to showcase what it looks like when you hit a survey beacon as Seer. Everyone has their little chip, put it in, and there you go. Definitely provides a lot more utility for competitive, being able to hit a beacon. Just remember when you're pairing with various legends, what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are. So again, hopefully this is very beneficial for all of you guys to kind of see breaking down his high level, all his abilities. What we're going to do in the future, we'll do a follow-up guide, talk about him in a tier list, where he sits, how helpful he is in arenas, and what you can do when we spend more time with him. But as you can tell early on, there's going to be a lot of skill that comes into utilizing this legend and really maximizing what Seer can bring to the table. So get out there. Hopefully this is helpful. This gets you charged up and ready for the future of Apex Legends.